Do you build companies with acquisitions in mind that you know who you would likely to potential purchase company later or when you begin? Why or why not? So this is a great question. Do I start a company trying to think of who's going to buy me? No. The number one problem you're going to have starting any company is finding anybody that actually cares or wants your product. Trust me, that is the number one thing. Clarity, when it launched, the way it was built, did not work. It worked a little bit, and I could prove some things out, but it wasn't the business it is today, and it's now huge and growing. In the beginning, it wasn't there, but I knew that the hardest part was actually building a product that people use and kept using. So did I focus on who would buy me if it did work? No. Once I knew that there was something there, then what I did, and I wrote a blog post on this blog called Maple Butter. If you search 7 steps to getting acquired, maplebutter.com, you'll find the blog post. And I don't want to sell Clarity. I didn't want to sell Flowtown. I don't build a company to sell it. But if you raise venture capital, you have a responsibility to your investors to provide a liquidity event at some point. That means at some point in the future, they're going to be able to sell the shares, and that can either be through an acquisition or a public offering, like going public, like an IPO. So I know that I have to do my work on that as the CEO and founder of the company. So I think that every company should spend the time to think about who are those 7 to 10 potential acquirers. And within each one of those companies, who's the product manager, the CEO, and the corporate development person within those companies, and get to know them. Again, I don't want to sell Clarity. I have no interest. I want to work on this for the rest of my career. I want to build a 100-year-old company. But I definitely know the 7 companies. I've talked to pretty much 80% of those contacts, product managers, CEOs, and the VP of Corp Devs, just to get to know them. You want them to know who you are. And my approach is actually I teach them everything I've learned, right? I say, here's what we've learned. This works. This doesn't work. I thought this was going to work. It actually turns out that you got to do this slight thing and that works. And it sounds crazy, but my philosophy is nobody understands my vision for the future. So for me to tell them my lessons learned to date, it's not a big problem. Even if they took everything I've done so far and copied it, I believe that my execution and our team's ability to execute is always going to be more powerful than a big company. And we had Google launch Health Out, so I definitely know what it's like to have the big elephant in the room try to compete. But I mean, in some ways, I don't feel they're competition. They're great guys. I actually talk to them. So yeah, I just think you should do your homework. Talk to those 7 companies times 3 is 21 people. So if you can't make a list of those 7 companies that could buy you, get to know those 3 people each company. Sometimes it's the same person, like the CEO and the corp dev. It might be the same person. It's your responsibility to have those people know about your company, understand what you're working on, because if you've taken venture capital, your investors are looking for optionality. Either you raise another round and or you get acquired or you go public, et cetera. So I don't want to sell the company, but I definitely know who would or could, and maybe I've talked to them, wink, wink. But my vision is build a product that people love. That's the essence of building a great company, not trying to optimize for an outcome.